Whenever we have a conversation about race or racial reconciliation, it always has a historical context. And it's important when we engage in that conversation that we think about this topic through three different lenses. We think about it through the cultural lens, the political lens, and the theological lens. And what's really critical is to determine, of those three, culture, politics, and theology, where is the place that I start first? Because wherever we start first ends up affecting how we not only think about the subject, but even how we have the conversation. For instance, if I think about racial reconciliation as primarily a political topic, that changes the conversation. Or I think it's mainly about a cultural issue. Well, that affects how I'm going to approach it. And I think there's hope if we could actually think, no, first, this is a theological issue, certainly with cultural and political dynamics in play. But this is one of those moments where triage, deciding which of these is most important, really, really matters. Because sometimes you could be having a conversation with someone about racial reconciliation, realizing that we're actually not talking about the same terms, we're not talking about the same issue, and we're coming at it from very different perspectives. And so I think it's very important and helpful to kind of locate where are we at in the middle of this conversation and understand the cultural, political, and theological dynamics that are in play, and even to identify those in terms of where someone is coming from in the conversation. The fact remains that there's media echo chambers. We all have this sort of media confirmation bias thing that's going on. Once we get in a particular news trough, like our other articles come our direction, and it can be really easy to think everyone believes like I believe, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. So understanding kind of where we are in the middle of this conversation historically, culturally, politically, and even theologically is really, really critical. And then we have to ask ourselves this question: where am I getting my information that helps me move forward? And it's really critical that the Bible and theological categories inform this conversation, lest the other things, culture and politics, become the first step. Because if that becomes the first step, the theological framework gets lost, and I think then the church just loses its opportunity to really speak into it in a way that's helpful and powerful. Doesn't mean you can't speak into the cultural and political dynamics, but it means that theological framework needs to be established first if ever we're going to speak into those other two categories really well.